Welcome in, everybody. This is the First of Football podcast. Today is Friday, November 17th, 2023. And I say 17th because the number 17 is my favorite and my lucky number, and just happens to be the number of some of my favorite players in the NFL. I'm here in Green Bay. Justin Sutton, Mike Rosenthal is on the road going to deer camp, dedicated
Yes,
to the
sir.
people.
I'm on. Once again, you're not going to be able to see me great because I just turned. I had to turn that right light or the left light off a little bit just so I can see the road better. Justin's going to be taking care of a lot of logistics here. But yeah, I'm driving up. It's a tradition, I guess, kind of in Wisconsin. It's opening day of deer tomorrow, and the tradition doesn't usually include 50-degree weather tomorrow. But hey, I'll take it. I'm going to be cozy in a stand, so.
Yeah, you got to take that weather when you get it, especially this late in the year. Like, hey, man, I'm just happy we still had a fall. Like last year, I think we had like a 4-week
right.
fall. It went from like summer to winter, and this year it's actually like, oh, cool, look at that. We actually get a nice fall, 50 degrees, 40
Yeah,
degrees for a few weeks. It's like, this is nice. It's
we
real
got a little bit
nice.
of snow and then it disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I do have one note going into this week.
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't upload something. Life's busy, man. Right now I'm in school, taking a couple classes. I'm going to graduate here in December. It just Justin had to work some overtime because they're behind. I mean, the holiday
Oh,
season.
yeah.
So we're doing the best we can.
Life has been very busy, especially on both ends here. So we're trying to make it work, especially with the holidays here. It's going to be tough. Probably going to be some mobile shows and whatnot, but we're doing what we can when we can. So with that being said, let's get into. Let's see here. We need to get to the Monday night
Thursday night
football
football.
game and then the Thursday night
Thursday.
football game.
And we can just dive. I mean, we're behind. Let's just dive into this week. I mean, unless you want to talk a little bit about
I
Monday
mean,
night.
we can briefly summarize that Broncos
Okay.
Bills game. That was the talk all week, and I mean, I don't know. I kind of sniffed a trap game going into that for Buffalo, and not like Denver is all that like terrible. You know, I like to think that this is the Denver team that I saw heading into the first Kansas City Chiefs matchup. I'm like, man, if they
It's
can just
not.
play defense and run the ball, it's like, you know, I could see the potential, and I thought they were going to hit that stride that week, but they didn't. But now it's like Denver's been on a heater. And, you know, they've been a bit better, but Buffalo is viewed as, you know, one of these elite teams in the AFC. And, you know, they should have curb stomped them. And that's what good teams do. When you play a lesser opponent, like I'm not going to say they're trash, but the Broncos are noticeably
Yeah.
lesser competition than the Bills. The Bills should have just beat them down because that's what good teams do. And I don't really necessarily think the Broncos won that game more than the Bills blew it.
Uh, I don't
And
know.
I mean, dude, 12 if that 12 men on the field doesn't happen, the Broncos don't win that game, plain and simple.
I don't think so. Calling that a quote unquote trap game, I think the Broncos are better than to be expected right now. They're on a heater.
Would you say
They
they're
look
better than the
good.
Bills?
They're not better than the Bills, but they definitely had the opportunity to beat the Bills. Their defense is good, and they have Russell Wilson at quarterback. Russell Wilson had a terrible year last year, but even this year when their team doesn't have the best record still, that guy puts up numbers. He's going to put up a fight. And the Bills are doing what the Bills do. I actually have some good notes on the Bills game that I want to talk about when we talk about this week's Bills game.
Hmm.
So I'll save it for that. But
All right.
firing an offensive coordinator, not the smartest plan.
Yeah, that was an emotional firing if I've ever seen one. And I mean, let's be
Scapegoat.
honest. Yeah, he was a scapegoat. He shouldn't have been fired. Like the real elephant in the room here is Sean McDermott. It's been the elephant in
Fact.
the room ever since they lost with 13 seconds to go in regulation to Kansas City, who forced overtime and ultimately beat Buffalo. I mean, that was literally it. That broke the defensive coordinator. He was like, I'm quitting / getting fired. That was a weird thing. They canned Dable to let him go be the head coach of the Giants, which that was a mistake. And now it's like, all right, you've gone through 2 offensive coordinators, 2 defensive coordinators. If you count, you know, Sean McDermott being the DC, the
Yeah.
second DC, it's like at some point, how do you not just look at Sean McDermott and say you're the common denominator here? You know, like
Yeah, man.
it's simple math. I think Buffalo should have hired Brian Dable to usurp Sean McDermott because he's a very good offensive mind. You can clearly see like he took that hapless Giants team to the playoffs last year and beat the Vikings with it. Like Brian Dable's a good coach. Josh Allen's never looked better than when he had Brian Dable, but that's my 2 cents on that.
I have some more comments once we dive into this week's game. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna save it for that.
that sounds good. Let's get right into that Thursday night game, though. Man, this was in a lot of
Dude,
ways
this is home.
this was a Thursday to forget for a lot of people. A lot of Bengals fans, a lot of Ravens fans, a lot of fantasy football
Steelers
players.
fans,
Uh, what do you
Browns
mean?
fans,
This
Steelers fans, everything in the AFC North. This week in this game flipped the entire script on the AFC North. Joey Burrow out, Mark Andrews out, Deshaun Watson out,
yeah,
Lamar Jackson running around with a hurt ankle. Like,
yeah, this
holy
was a Thursday to
crap, has the
forget.
flip script.
What a terrible
Yes.
Thursday.
They should never put AFC North teams against each other on weird Thursday night games ever.
I swear, there's like some sort of weird football voodoo like curses that always happen in those games. There's a
Dude,
spot for those games, and it's not Thursday night. It's called Sunday night.
no. Sunday night or during the day when people don't have to talk about it because bad stuff happens when they're on prime time.
Yes, I 100% agree. I mean, oh my goodness, this was absolutely horrendous. The Bengals lose their franchise quarterback. Their season's over. I mean, they were my Super Bowl pick to go meet Philly there, and that's out the
Both of
window.
us.
Yeah,
Both of us.
that's
Yeah.
out the window now. The AFC is so wide open. It's not nearly as tough as I think anybody thought it was going to be this year. And I don't really see a clear-cut contender out of the AFC right now other than Baltimore, but I can't even say that right now
Baltimore.
because they just lost Mark Andrews, which is the equivalent of their wide receiver one.
Their WR. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, you said it. You said it perfect there. I mean, I still think the Ravens are the number one team coming out of the AFC North with Lamar Jackson the way he's playing this year. Their run game and their defense, they're going to win the AFC North. And I think that with this, I mean, this weekend's huge. We're going to get into the Steelers Browns game, but the way everything is, it completely flipped the script off of what was it 2 weeks ago when every single AFC North team was in the playoffs, and everybody's like AFC North team, best division in football.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, this week happened. Holy shit! This week was. I mean, as a Steelers fan, I'm like, we have a chance to maybe make the playoffs and lose in the first round. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, you got to be ecstatic about this.
I mean, I hate, but as a football, like we do this podcast,
Yeah,
I
you're
like
not
all
happy
football.
about the injuries. You're happy about what it might bring you in the standings and in the future in terms of the strength of those teams being lessened.
Yeah, and it hurts me even more. I mean, one of my fantasy teams, I have Joey Burrow and Mark Andrews on one team, so it wasn't a good night.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. My dynasty season is pretty much down the tubes as well now. I had a real shot. I think I might know what I did to deserve such cruel karma from the football gods to watch Joe Burrow go down and end my season, essentially. But that was 2 days before kickoff of this Thursday game.
Yeah.
I traded away Mark Andrews for a haul in terms of talent to go for it this year as opposed to draft picks for next year. And then immediately, like in the first quarter, Mark Andrews suffers his season-ending injury, and I'm listening to the game just shocked. I'm like, I can't believe I just traded this guy like 2-3 days before his season-ending injury. Like, wow, I am one lucky SOB. And not even a quarter later, I'm hearing how Joe Burrow is emphatically in pain and, apparently going to the locker room, and it's in the second quarter. And I'm just beside myself. I'm like, yeah, that's probably what I get for thinking I just pulled off the greatest fleece ever, unintentionally, that is. But yeah, it's a rough situation there. It's a rough day for anybody who had Joe Burrow or Mark Andrews in fantasy. We feel your pain. But that game itself, that turned out to be a dud. It started out electric. I mean, the Ravens went right down the field, scored. Bengals went right down the field, kicked a field goal. Like it was a tight one-possession game. We looked like we were in for an AFC North classic. And man, those injuries just turned that game sour.
I mean, it was an AFC North Classic. Injuries.
Yeah, I mean, also, I would like to extend my condolences to those Jamar Chase owners out there and those T. Higgins owners out there. All of you who have been battling through a tough season thus far, it is now over, especially without Joe Burrow. I mean, hey, you never know with Jake Browning, but you have a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
You know,
T.
wide receiver
Higgins, who? I
production
don't
just
even know
isn't.
if he plays.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
Shout out to
Exactly.
Joe Mixon owners, man. That's going to be nice, though.
Is it though? Because now the Bengals are probably going to be in a lot of negative game script, and I guess he does get a lot of receiving work, but
Checkdowns. He gets
yeah,
checkdowns. Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, other than that, just a clunker of a game. I mean, everybody knew the second Joe Burrow went down. Well, Ravens won this game, and anybody who had,
Snooze fest.
yeah, anybody who had money on the Bengals plus points, that went out the window. So
Speaking of that, the controversy with him having a wrist sleeve or wrist something on
yeah,
before
that
the
is
game.
outrageous that was not
There,
indicated on the injury report at all or reported by anybody by any means to that matter in terms of until right before the game.
that's up for investigation, man. That's for
Yeah.
bettors and stuff like that. I mean, Dave Portnoy, obviously one of the biggest sports bettors around, being Barstool Sports.
Yep.
He's thrown a fit about this, rightfully so, because there's no way. I mean, he was obviously feeling something. He never wore an
Yeah.
elbow pad playing before. He wore an elbow pad tonight. He never had a wrist brace or wrist compression sleeve on before. He wore one that night. Something funk was going on, and like it was a non-contact injury. He was feeling something.
Yeah. I'm very happy the NFL has launched an investigation into this. I mean, those are some words I probably never thought I'd ever say, but
Right?
this is brutal. I mean, just for the implications of the sports gambling alone. I mean, think about how many millions of dollars are at stake here, and not only that, but like these players'
Insane.
careers and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying Joe Burrow's the type of guy to sit there and be like, "Oh, I have a wrist issue. I need to go get this checked out and make sure I'm okay to play." No, he's probably the type of guy to be like, "Hey, man, I'll be out there on the field." And
He's like, he's a tough SOB for
yeah,
sure.
exactly. But to some degree, it's like, it's worth it to get it tested. Like look at Deshaun Watson. In his case, he was willing to gut it and just go out and play the rest of the season. And the docs were like, "Yeah, no, you're not doing that."
No,
At least so he claimed.
Completely opposite. The doctors cleared him to play, and he was like,
"No, I'm talking about the news this week that he has a broken bone in his shoulder." In his presser, he specifically said that he was trying to do everything he possibly could to push through it and have surgery in the off season, delay that. And the docs and literally the whole team staff, everybody's told him to shut it down, and that is not going to happen. So the Browns pretty much made that decision for him.
He had to say that. That guy.
I would agree, but
the doctors cleared him multiple times this season to play, and he didn't go out and play. That guy's the worst contract in NFL history as of right now, unless he comes back and is amazing. But he's played 12 games for the Browns since he signed that contract.
I agree. That's a terrible contract. But the player itself, I mean, he did go 14 for 14 against that good Ravens defense in the second half and ended up winning the game for them, coming back down 31-17. I mean,
what other instances do you have of that?
Think of what you want of the guy, but he's typically up until his recent 2-year hiatus, the guy has been tough. He usually plays through injury, typically.
Yeah.
So I guess up until
but he's always injured.
Up until this very last thing, what evidence do you have to support that claim that he is just not a tough guy?
He's always injured, though. He's always injured.
Okay, and so is Julio Jones. Doesn't mean that, Julio was a garbage player. I mean, Deshaun Watson, whether he can get back to his elite self, that's yet to be seen. But maybe this is the whole reason he kept choosing to not play is so he didn't want to be, exposed to further risk of more severe damage to the shoulder. Like, it's not like it's his non-throwing shoulder. It's his throwing shoulder.
No, my point is what you just said. He hasn't proved himself on this contract. There's not been one game, maybe what you just mentioned of the game last week where he threw perfect and beat the Ravens, but he has not proved himself worth the contract that he has signed, an insane guarantee. He has not proved it yet.
You say that like he's the Cleveland Browns who signed himself to that contract. I mean, it's the
No,
Cleveland
I'm not.
Browns. What
I'm
do you
not.
expect? They make dumb financial
No,
decisions all the time,
bro,
going after Johnny
bro.
Manziel
I don't.
and
I
fucking God
let me
knows
talk.
who else.
Let me talk. I get that the dude's had injuries and it that does happen and sometimes contract. I'm not. It's a terrible fucking contract because like it's and it may not be his fault that it's a terrible contract. It is right now. It's a terrible contract. The guy's played 12 games
Yeah,
and he
for
got
Cleveland.
a whole bunch of guaranteed money.
Yep.
I'm not dogging him. I hope Deshaun Watson's good, but he hasn't done it since he's been on that contract, and that's the end of the line. He hasn't proved his worth in that contract.
Yeah, you said
And
he's played 12 games since he started that contract.
yeah,
Yeah, he hasn't even played a full season on that contract yet. That's
that's
and
what I'm saying.
after
Like,
not playing for 2 years. Yeah, I kind of expect I expect to see some rust on him, that's for sure. Because I thought he was starting to look better and starting to just maybe show the inkling that he just might live up to that contract the last couple weeks here, but that did not turn out to be the case. Because, like you say, he's
no,
always injured, and that is a point, man. Availability is the best ability. If you can't
yeah,
even
dude,
be
you're not
there,
worth any
it
money if you can't
doesn't
play.
matter how good you are. Exactly. That's like look at Mahomes. His best game last year was in the Super Bowl when he re-injured that ankle.
He's a dog.
He's a dog. But yeah, let's digress from Deshaun Watson and the AFC North in general and move on to some actual entertaining games, hopefully this weekend. Starting
Yeah,
off with
you
Sunday,
control this
we
list.
got Steelers at the Browns, and I don't know if
AFC
this.
North.
I know, unfortunately, and I don't know if this line is 100% accurate right now as of Friday, November 17th at approximately 7 p.m. But the
It was
line
as of noon.
it
All
was
these
as
were
of
as of
noon.
noon.
Okay, cool. The line here is showing Cleveland -1.5. So it looks like I am not taking this line. I believe that Pittsburgh will find a way to win this with, no Deshaun Watson at quarterback for the Browns. And Mike, you seem to be in agreement with me in not taking that line.
Fact. I think I have a stat in there. Obviously, I can't read it right now. I think 20 something in a single digit Tomlin is against rookie quarterbacks. You want to read that for me?
Oh, yeah. Let me pull that stat up here for you real quick.
I think it's like
Mike
24 and
Tomlin is
5 or
24-5 against rookie
24 and
quarterbacks.
5. Yeah,
That is
yeah,
correct.
that's going to continue. What is it? DTR is this guy's name?
Yeah, Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah, dude. I mean, even with Minka out, our inside linebackers being out, I mean, the Browns. To be fair, the
Hold up.
Browns
Is TJ Watt playing?
is Miles Garrett playing.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah, then
they're
that's what I
both
thought.
playing.
Steelers winning that game, dog. Long as TJ Watt out there, that is your defense, bro. You don't need nobody back there. Minka can be out. That's dude. TJ Watt, just fuck it. You don't even need 11 guys. Just throw TJ out there. He'll stop the play.
And I hope you're right.
That's how good the dude is.
The only problem with this is going to be a run heavy game for both teams. The Steelers are coming off of 2 games. They got 205 yards last week. I think 190 something the week before. The Browns are obviously an elite rushing team. This is going to be a rush heavy game, and I do pick the Steelers winning this because there are going to have to be some throws made, and I think the Browns love man coverage.
Kenny
Okay,
Clutch.
and they also love rushing the quarterback. So they're going to be a man coverage, and they're going to be put pressure on the quarterback. There's Pickens and Deontay are going to be open, and one more element that they get back this week is Pat Fryermuth. They're going to have the middle of the field open, which they do not use at all.
Right.
I think that those elements, the Steelers have the edge on offense right now. And although the Browns are the best defense in the NFL, the Browns are starting they call him the second string quarterback, but really he was the third string because Walker came in and played and after Watson was out. So I'm with you. I think the Steelers are going to win. This is going to be, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this game was 10-13. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't either.
But I hope that the Steelers take some shots this week and let Kenny Pickett cook, man. I really hope that they let him cook. Dump the ball. If you're going to play man coverage, which they love to do, give that ball to George Pickens. Let him dummy the Browns.
Quit reading my notes in my head right now, Mike. I was just about to give out a sneaky bold prediction that I smell a George Pickens game, dude. Like
Roll the
you hit the
ball up,
nail on the head with that
dude.
press coverage man stuff from the Browns, man. Like they like to play man and they like to press. Dude, Pickens is an
Yeah.
animal. I think he's gonna cook. I agree with you.
Like one of the biggest things that comes from this, I don't even give a shit if the Steelers make the playoffs. Like you have to let Kenny Pickett throw the ball and start playing quarterback and stop just he has the
Take the
longest
training wheels
consecutive
off.
streak. Yeah, he has the longest consecutive streak without an interception for eligible quarterbacks for that stat. Who gives a shit? That doesn't matter. Let the dude play quarterback and cook. You cannot confine him. Like it is great that you have a quarterback that doesn't give the ball up, but
Yeah.
also we have no offense. Our offense sucks. Nobody wants to watch the Steelers play, and you're not going to win a Super Bowl or a playoff game playing the way they're playing.
Yeah, no,
Having the defense play way more snaps than the off, like it just doesn't work that way. So I hope there needs to be the Band-Aid ripped off, like put the training wheels off, like you said. And right now, man, the AFC North is open. They need to let Kenny cook against these backup quarterbacks to prove that Kenny isn't a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. And honestly, it's like I hate to quit beating a dead horse, but it's like this is a quarterback driven league. And like you said, they need to take the
Facts.
training wheels off of Kenny Pickett and see if he is the dude to drive them, because you're not going to win Super Bowls or playoff games in this league with just
It's
good
not the
coaching and good
70s.
defense. Yes, it's not the 1970s and 80s no more. This is a different league. So, but speaking of, taking training wheels off and finding out if they're the guy, let's carry that over to Jordan Love here with the Chargers
Jordan
at the
Love.
Packers. Chargers favored by 3 points. And I mean, I echoed the same sentiments you just said about Kenny Pickett with Jordan Love. Take the training wheels off. This is it. Like, we need to see. I'm not talking about this game, but like the season. This is like pretty much what we're getting. We need to see
I
what
mean,
we're getting, because if we don't see enough, I don't think the Packers are going to risk it and sign him. I think if Jordan Love does just enough, the Packers will talk themselves into signing him and giving him more time. But either way, I don't think that's the correct answer here. I don't think he's, like I've already said before, I don't think he's the guy. I think they're going to
you
move
don't,
on next
yeah.
year. But he still needs to be given a chance. Like let him do
So
what he does. If he needs to run around
I
a little more, let him. If he needs to just
I think
play a little wilder, a little more backyard football, a little Mahomes style, let him. Like LaFleur needs to like start coaching with a little bit of urgency here and not be so conservative with this kid, because he has physical tools.
I think that Jordan Love, they let him cook way more than a Kenny Pickett. They let him bomb the ball, throw picks. We don't care. Throw the
Yeah,
ball.
I'll
They
give you
let
that.
him do that. What well, the one thing that I am with you, which you'll probably 100% agree with me on this, he needs to use his freaking legs.
Yeah.
Move out. Use your legs, brother. You're such a more dynamic player. You're not a complete pocket passer. Get out of the pocket. Roll
Yes.
around. The receivers are going to get open if you move out of the pocket and extend the play. If a play is extended, receivers get open.
Yes.
Everybody knows that.
And
They
I'll
need
even
they need to remove that training wheels for Jordan Love and say, roll out of the pocket, freestyle a little bit, use your
yes,
legs.
a little
That will
more
make the team so much better.
backyard football. And absolutely, I
Yeah,
agree, because it's not like we don't have receivers that can't get open. We have
they
juice in the
will. Yeah,
receiving core at this point in time. Like, it's not like, the last couple seasons where it was pretty much just, Devontae Adams and then a whole bunch of B to C level guys. It's like we have Christian Watson is an A-level talent. Whether or not he is an A-level player has yet to be determined. He's struggling with consistency. But Romeo Dobbs looks to be a B plus, A minus receiver. I
Reed,
mean,
dude, I love Reed.
Jaden Reed. Oh
Reed,
my goodness, I love Jaden
that dude
Reed.
could be an A plus.
I have a bold statement to make right now, and I don't know if Packers fans are going to be too happy to hear about this, considering we spent significant draft capital on the stereotypical big-bodied receiver who's extremely fast, Christian Watson, and that is, I think Jaden Reed is the best wide receiver in the Green Bay Packers room right now. And I would like to apologize for that noise if anybody heard that. That was an alarm that I had set for some tending to do around the house.
Who has more deep balls in the league than him? One person, Tyreek Hill.
Explosive.
the dude's explosive. Reed's going to be a stud for the Packers if they use him right, man.
Yeah, he
Love
seems to be
watching
the
that
Green
guy
Bay
play.
Debo, man. Honestly, when they drafted him, I loved it because I think I might have said it before, but I'll say it again. I heard a lot of rumblings that when he was at Michigan State, he pretty much never had a quarterback that was worth his salt, and that if he did, he would have been a first round pick. And there was another extremely talented receiver at Michigan State, and I guess that guy transferred out because he saw that they didn't have a quarterback, and so that's kind of why Jaden Reed went in the second round. So they just didn't really have anybody to showcase him. And now, I mean, even with serviceable, I don't even want to say serviceable, but you have NFL type play from Jordan Love, and
He can
Jaden
get him
Reed's
the he
looking
can get him the
insane.
ball. Yeah, he can get him the ball. He's not
Yeah.
that Love's not that bad.
No, yeah, I'm not. I just don't want to say serviceable because that's a term I like to use for guys like Dak and Kirk Cousins. Like Jordan Love is in the NFL for a reason. He's obviously not completely terrible at football. He's an NFL player. I don't want to discredit him. I just don't think that he's like your franchise guy, like your serviceable franchise guy. And so I guess I wanted to be careful with my wording there.
So moving on from the Packers.
Yeah, we are both hammering this line, by the way. Chargers going to spank the Packs.
Chargers are going to win. Eckler, I have Eckler in one fantasy league, and Eckler should have a heck of a day against this Packers very terrible run defense.
Correct.
And also, I'm pretty sure Herbert's top 5 fantasy quarterback in the league, which fantasy doesn't always correlate with real life, but it kind of does correlate with real life. So,
well, yeah, I would agree with that.
Their record doesn't. What?
I said, yeah, I would agree with that.
What were you saying?
I was just saying I would agree with the fact that fantasy and in real life football somewhat correlates.
So Herbert, I mean, the Packers do have a good pass defense. I threw some kind of stat there in my notes. Obviously, I can't read them now.
Plays, they do, yeah.
But him being out hurts, man. The Chargers should. The Packers are going to keep this game close because the Chargers' defense is not good. And it's going to make people feel good about Jordan Love in the pass game and the rush game.
Really?
The game's going to make Packers fans feel happy, but they're still going to lose the game. But they're still going to have a glimmer of hope of like, okay, we got some guys, we can move the ball. They're just going to get outpaced by the Chargers, and that's what the Chargers do. They score points, and sometimes they lose, sometimes they don't, but they always score points, and most teams keep up with them. So,
that's interesting. I mean, I kind of think that this is a get-right game for the Chargers. They have so much to play for, especially with such a wide-open AFC East. And, like, what do the Packers have to play for other than pride? And I don't know. I think the Packers get garbage time points to make the scoreboard look slightly better, but I think the Chargers kind of dominate us here. I mean, I picked up the Chargers defense this week for a fantasy league, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be somewhat close, but
especially with no Jair, there's nothing about the Packers defense that's to be feared.
Is he officially out?
I haven't seen anything on that yet, but I mean, it kind of seems like if he's not basically 100%, he's not going to go put himself at risk. And
rightfully so.
And I don't have a problem with that at all. Yes, exactly. He's the best player we have on defense, in my opinion. You could argue one of our interior D linemen, but I'm a Jair guy. That's just me. If you got a corner that can cover, that makes your rush a lot better. Your rush can. The whole theory of rush versus coverage, it's like, yeah, if your rush is better, they don't have to cover as long. Well, that's the thing. Pass rush don't always get home. You need guys that can
lock
plaster.
Down.
You need guys that can plaster when the quarterback starts scrambling, extending plays and shit. But I digress. Let's move on to speaking of another quarterback that likes to extend plays, Justin Fields. Bears at the Lions. He should be starting this week. Lions are favored by 7.5. And we are both taking this line because we expect the Lions to do what the Lions do, and that is run that rock down their throat.
And also, Goff is going to go off at home.
He's agree.
Going to throw the ball. So right before yesterday's game, I had Joey Burrow and Jared Goff on my fantasy team and Mark Andrews. Obviously, I played Mark Andrews. And I was like, anytime that I question if I should start Goff, he goes off. So I put Goff in and I benched Joey Burrow. Thank God I did that because I think Goff's going to get above, points or something like that.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it was bad for Joe Burrow.
yeah, Goff is going to go off in this game. I mean, they're the dominant force. Although the Vikings are, it's hard to argue against them, man. They're
You
on
mean the
a
Bears?
quite a heater right. No, I'm just talking the NFC North.
Oh,
The Vikings are on quite a heater to compete for the title there. But yeah,
we'll see about
this
that.
game in general, the Lions are going to win this game handedly, but the game's going to be much more exciting with Justin Fields at the helm.
Yes.
Uh, DJ Moore is going to be relevant maybe again, rather than just Cole Kmet for a check down.
I mean,
And
how
once again,
relevant has DJ Moore been, for other than being traded to Chicago for the last a couple of years, other than just he's so good and he needs to get out of Carolina. That's kind of about all
well,
we've
he was
heard.
he is no, he was much more relevant in fantasy
Oh,
and in
fantasy
the
football.
games.
Okay.
Well, once again, and in the games though, he's getting way more targets with Justin Fields as a quarterback without Bilbo Badgett.
I guess I haven't looked into his target stats with Fields, so I'll just trust you on that one.
He was using Cole Kmet as a crutch. As many backups do, they use their tight end as a crutch.
And Cole Kmet's not bad.
He's a good tight end, man. You cannot argue that. So
he's a good player.
this game should be more interesting with Fields playing. I mean, it's going to be somewhat watchable, I think, because the Bears defense has really stepped it up in the past weeks against the run game. I think what were they, like fifth or something? I had as a note, and they were decently ranked in the rush defense so far this season, which will make that interesting with the Montgomery Gibbs combo. But I think the Lions are really going to use Gibbs as a screen guy and little check downs and stuff, and that's going to tear the Bears up, man.
Yeah, I will confirm that for you. The Bears currently are ranked fifth for their run defense, but I agree. I think we're going to kind of see a little inverted version of the Lions. I think they're going to look more like Miami. I think you're going to just see them boom, boom, boom going down the field with Jared Goff through the air first. I think they're going to start throwing the ball so they can open up their run game because the Bears have been so good. So I think ultimately the Lions still run the ball down their throat. It's just going to be in reverse order.
I would completely agree with that. Yeah. But it's going to be a Lions dominant game at the end of the day.
Yeah, we are both taking that line. And speaking of, that inverse order similar to Miami, the next game up is the Dolphins game. We got the Raiders at the Dolphins. Miami is favored by 13 points. And honestly, man, whatever's in those cigars in that Raiders locker room, I'm smoking it too, because I'm thinking the Raiders are going to keep it within the points here. They're going to cover. I think Miami will win, but I like the Raiders to keep it interesting.
I don't think there's a chance.
Why
They're going to run that ball. Man, with Aiden O'Connell at the helm, they don't know how to throw the ball to Devontae Adams.
Well, it looks to be a lot better than what Jimmy G was doing the last few weeks up until that point.
Hey, it's not hard to get past like one target to Devontae Adams.
He's at least getting him the ball too, not overthrowing him by 5 yards every throw.
Fact.
Especially on big touchdowns or just big crucial plays,
I'm excited to see Achane.
Really? I'm curious to see how involved he is this week. First week back off IR, that's usually always sketchy for running back specifically.
That's what I mean. But like they said he could play last week, but they didn't need to put him in. It's going to be interesting to see what that guy does. Like crazy in fantasy, even outside of fantasy, just the stats that guy was putting up. I mean, that's not sustainable. It's going to be interesting to see what this offense is, but the Dolphins have so many dudes that can run the ball in an offensive line. They can move people to make the run lanes open. And then if you can have a rush game, oh, wait, we have Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Like, they can dominate, man. And Tua can throw a dime. I think this game's going to be kind of like the Lions-Bears game, to be fair. I think they're going to mirror each other.
Interesting. That's hey, I can't argue with your logic there. That could very easily happen. I could see that happening, but I guess the way I see it happening is, that Miami offense is lethal. I think they're going to be able to do pretty much whatever they want. And I think the Raiders are going to use that against them. I think the Raiders are probably just going to pretty much, go ahead, score at will. We'll just keep our offense on the field and bleed you out slowly with Josh Jacobs and keep Tua on the bench for half the quarter at a crack. I think
I like,
the Raiders are smart enough to realize how to beat teams like this. And Antonio Pierce, it's like he was a part of that Giants team that beat who and the Dark Lord, the hoodie himself in that undefeated season in the Super Bowl of New England Patriots. And it's like he talked about how they believe they could beat anybody. And that's the type
yeah,
of belief you got to have in a locker room in general, but especially when you are going against a quote unquote powerhouse team like the Dolphins. And I don't know how powerhouse they are because they don't really beat the good
they don't
teams.
beat good teams. Yeah,
But it's
jinx.
like in the same token, man, like they are so lethal, dude. They have four guys I can think of off the top of my head right now, and Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Mostert, and Achane that can literally just take it to the house from any spot on the field. And that's what
Yeah,
makes them so dangerous. I don't call them a powerhouse team, but they are lethally dangerous. So I like the Raiders to cover the points here. I don't think Miami wins by 14 or more. I do like the Raiders to keep it within that 13-point spread. So
I wouldn't be surprised if you're right because of the vibes out of Las Vegas right now.
yeah,
Um, but I don't think I'd be surprised if I was right, and I don't think you'd be surprised if you were right as well. Like I think we could both see it going
yeah,
both ways.
yeah. If I was wrong and you were right, I would not be surprised at all, and vice versa.
If this was my if this was one that we could chalk up to not taking it, we'd probably both be like, I don't know, I don't want to take this.
Yeah, pretty much. And speaking of another game like that is the next one up here, and that's Giants at Washington. Washington's favored by eight
Oh
and a
my
half, and
god, that's so weird.
for a divisional game, that's a lot of points. I'm staying away from that. I'm taking Giants plus points. I don't think the Giants win it. I think Commanders win it outright, but I think it's within 8.5. There's no way that Washington wins this by 9 or more, in my opinion.
I
They
do
just
think
know
that
each other
Washington
too well.
does. This would be another one where we're opposite again. I do think that the
But we got
Commanders
a lot
do
of
win it.
differences this week. I'll just let you know that.
Hey man, I had a huge comeback last week in
Hey,
picks.
yeah, you could leapfrog me here, or I could just go right back out to being a Chicago bus length in front of
But
you.
this is once again where we would probably agree to not take the line
Yeah,
because man,
100%. I did not want to pick this.
I think that the offense of the Commanders is obviously phenomenal. Uh, Powell, Robinson, I mean they're rolling right now, dude. And the Giants are the biggest stinker in the NFL. Like they're they're bad at football, which
Yeah.
sucks to see, man. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I took
There's
the line, but I don't really have a whole lot of faith in it. I could see how the line could be made. That's kind of why I took it because the Giants are not good.
give
I
up a
don't see how
broken
they're going to
free score
score.
late in the game or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I just
agree.
don't see how the Giants keep up.
All righty here, Mike. Let's move on to the next game. We got Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. Dallas is currently favored at minus 10.5. And honestly, I'm smashing that. Cowboys are going to dominate this team because that's what they do. Cowboys dominate the bad teams or anybody pretty much lesser than them. And then the second they see a good team, they kind of get punched in the mouth and they don't really know what to do. So I think Cowboys are either going to they're going to beat the Panthers so bad that they're either going to make rumors start swirling about, is Frank Reich the guy there in Carolina and possibly him being on the hot seat, or is Bryce Young already a bust? I think that's how bad the Cowboys are going to smash Carolina.
Yeah, I'm with you. I said this last week, I think, as well. The Cowboys, like you just said, ball out against bad teams, and they're questionable against good teams. Almost stink. But CD Lamb and Dak are going to chase that record for double digit. I think what's 10 plus catches, 150 yards, 3 games in a row. They're going to probably
Yeah.
make it 4 games in a row. And they kept what was their backup Russian throwing the
Cooper
ball to
Rush.
CD Lamb. They threw the ball to CD Lamb just so he could get that record. I love that. I'd love to see teams do that. That's fucking awesome. The one thing that I think finally happens this game, maybe I'm speaking for hope because I drafted this donkey, Tony Pollard.
Perfect. I wanted to get into this. Perfect.
I mean, there's not a lot
Yes,
to get into. The guy
there
hasn't played
is.
good. I no, there isn't because he hasn't scored any points and he stinks at football. He's gonna play decent against a bad team. That's about it. Hopefully that gets his momentum going. But like I'm gonna just completely. I don't have anything else to say on the Panthers side of things. I agree with everything you're saying, and they're probably already talking about him being a bust. But yes,
I have some bad news for you, Mike. Number one, that Panthers passing defense is actually the only good part of that defense. So I think it is going to be a running day all over the Carolina Panthers. However, the worst news is that I think your worst fears are confirmed with Tony Pollard. We saw Rico Dowdle. Granted, it was kind of garbage time, but like he got 12 carries and did well with those 12 carries last week. I think you're going to start to see a bit more of a 50-50 split running back by committee here in Dallas because Tony Pollard is the classic case of, yeah, he looks really electric and really explosive running on the edges when the defense is nice and tired from Zeke busting their chops right through the middle between the tackles. Tony Pollard is not an RB1, never has been, never will be. So I think you're going to start to see a lot more committee running here by Dallas, and that's going to have a lot of Pollard owners big mad, especially in
well that no,
dynasty
I don't
leagues.
even. I don't think. I think that running by committee may even help him because he's just
It
going to get a
should.
little dump off. He may get more fantasy points with that mo. Like
I would agree, but I'm saying like I don't think he's ever going to hit the ceiling that I guess people maybe sort of set for him in terms of
yeah,
expectations, like going into the fantasy year. Like everybody saw Tony Pollard as like a potential top
he
five
got
running
drafted
back.
so high. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like I shouldn't say everybody, but most people did. And I mean, even if that happens, if they go back to an RB by committee, I think he could like push to be a top 10 running back. I don't know if he would be, but
agreed. That
I think he'd push, but I still don't think he's sniffing that top 5 ceiling that he was drafted at.
yeah, I didn't even think like what you just said was very smart. I mean, he's
Dude,
somebody that
I'm so into the weeds.
dynasty league,
I'm so into the weeds in
I'm not
football. It's ridiculous.
I'm not bringing him with me next year probably. So,
Yeah,
but I think
there's a
the
reason I stayed
Cowboys
away
have
from him in every league I could this year.
the nice part is, dude, the Cowboys have a nice schedule going into fantasy playoffs that
Oh
I'm
yeah,
going to be in it. Well, actually, I'm not confirmed in our league yet, but I should be. So
barely.
I'm mad about it.
You've been getting kind of crushed this year.
Yeah, but I still think I should. I think I'm like 500. I should make the playoffs.
I know I ain't sniffing it. I sold my season when I took Patty Mahomes 1 overall, and I didn't expect to win it anyways. But I was like, maybe he'll give me a chance, because it's Patrick Mahomes, and that was wrong. So it's on to next year for me in that
But
league.
yeah, I guess other than that, we can
Yeah.
move on to the next game.
Bold prediction: Rico Dowdle going to get 50% of the carries, and people are going to lose their minds. But yeah, next game, Titans at Jaguars here. This is going to be probably one of those ugly snooze games. Jacksonville is favored by 7 points, and honestly, oh, that's a steal right now. I don't think Tennessee's very good. Their passing defense is terrible. Probably gonna be a nice bounce back game for Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence for that matter. And honestly, Titans, like if they can't run the ball, they're kind of sitting ducks. And the Jags run defense is actually pretty good. And let's not forget the biggest underlying factor here. Jacksonville just got poop stomped by San Francisco. Like any good team that gets humiliated like that, they bounce back. They don't get humiliated twice. They almost never lose twice.
Sorry, I guess anybody watching this, you can't see me at all now. It's all black. I'm deep in the back roads here. Um, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I literally, I completely agree with you. ETN, Lawrence, even though Lawrence has been a stinker,
Yeah.
they're going to bounce back on this game. What is it? Um, Levi, right? Levi Willis, right?
Will Levis.
Will Levis. I don't know why
Levi Willis. That should be his new name on the pod now. Levi Willis. Oh my goodness.
That's what comes to my head every time. I don't know why.
That's hilarious. That's all right. Every time I try to spell his name in my phone, Will Levis, and my phone likes to autocorrect it to Levi's with an apostrophe S like the jeans. That's rather annoying.
But I I like DeAndre Hopkins in this game, side fantasy note, because of junk time. Um, other than that,
Not a bad play there.
yeah, yeah. The team stinks.
Yeah, I expect Jacksonville to roll, even though it is an uneven
Jacksonville's
matchup.
Jacksonville. What are they, 6-3? And they
Something
just
like
scored
that.
three. They just scored 3 points last game, I believe.
Yeah, it was
There's
pretty rough.
no way in hell they're losing this game, and I think they're at home. So, yeah, they're winning this game, and I'm taking that line.
All righty, moving on to the next game here. Sorry, as you all watch me itch my hairline. Next game, we got Cardinals at the Texans. Houston favored by 6, and that's terrifying. I'm staying so far away from that. I am not taking this. Who knows how good the Cardinals are going to look? Because honestly, they looked pretty damn good last week. I figured Kyler would come back. I thought I was pretty confident he would come back and maybe have a little rust, but I thought he would have a good showing. And man, did he prove me right, because everything I had heard was he was looking so good. And I just expect the Cardinals to get better, man. They were already scrappy with Josh Dobbs. I really like the Cardinals being a nice feisty team for the rest of the year here. I think the Cardinals are going to play spoiler in the NFC and end up booting some people out the playoffs here.
Yeah. So, from what
I
I
don't think
remember,
Cardinals are making it, but
I'm not taking this line.
no, neither of
I'm
us
with
are.
you on that.
This is stay away.
I think I had a note in this game of I wish that this wasn't the noon game, because I'd love to watch this whole game, because this game's going to be
Yes.
awesome to watch. Dude,
This should be America's game of the week at the the 3:30
man.
window, not whatever it is this week. It's probably Jets Bills or the Seahawks Rams, one of those two. Like it should not be that.
Dude, this game should be so awesome to watch. I'm excited to see
How was this game
Connor.
not flexed? Like how did they
I
not
don't.
flex this into a primetime spot? That's crazy.
Well, we know how they don't, because they don't pay attention to anything that anybody actually wants.
I don't
They
know.
don't flex any
I feel
good
like
games.
I feel like last season's schedule was pretty killer, honestly. And this season, like it on paper, it looked to be killer, and like injuries have just kind of ruined the schedule. So I don't really blame them. I just blame the injuries, and I'm just disappointed that the NFL isn't a little more proactive about readjusting their schedule once major injuries do go down.
At the same time, too, like, you wouldn't have expected, what is it, Sunday Night Football, Denver and Vikings. Nobody would have thought that would have been a good game a couple weeks ago, and now everybody's like, "Holy crap, this could actually be fun to watch."
Yeah,
These
I'll
two
agree with
teams
you
go
there.
at it.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess it is hard to hold a whole lot of judgment. I mean, hey, I'm glad it's not my job. But going back to this game, man, I'm so I don't know why. Like, this year, I'm just amped to watch Kyler Murray. I want to see him have a great comeback. And CJ Stroud, obviously rookie of the year. Like, this, it's going to be so awesome to watch these teams play. Was it is it Singletary, right? He's going to be
Devin
taking over.
Singletary, who's pretty
Yeah,
much
I had my wife
eliminating
pick him
Dameon
up.
Pierce.
Yeah, I had my wife pick him up in fantasy. She was like, "Who do I pick up?" I'm like, "Singletary's sitting in free agency right now." I'm like, "Jump on that right now. I don't need a running back. Jump on that man right now." Like,
if she can get her hands on one Brian Robinson, that's a great play this week.
I wouldn't tell her about that. I would have already had him. I'm trying to win, dude.
This is why I would advise to not play fantasy football with your significant others out there, ladies and gentlemen.
No, she's the worst in the league. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd say the same about you.
Record-wise, doesn't show that.
Woo!
I'm only the third worst in the
league. Yeah, man, I just got chills thinking about this game and how we were just talking about how it should be in a primetime slot. Like, dude, when you mentioned Sunday Night Football, all I could think about was if this game, number one, was on Sunday Night Football, and number two, in Arizona instead of Houston, dude, the magic that has been made in that stadium, let alone on Sunday nights, dude, that
I remember some
I'm
magic.
getting chills right now about thinking about what CJ Stroud could do in a Sunday Night Football game in the desert against Kyler. Oh man, that'd be a great matchup. But hey, we don't write
one of the
NFL
biggest
schedules.
things too, dude. The Texans are in a playoff hunt, man.
Dude, yeah, with the Bengals being essentially eliminated right now, I'm telling you right now, they're going to be pushing for a spot.
Too,
yeah.
The Browns aren't obviously eliminated, but losing their
Browns are going to be feisty too.
they're going to be feisty. The Steelers are going to be probably less feisty, may get lucky. But I mean, there's a lot of windows opening up this week for the Houston Texans to
Dude, the
be
AFC in general is
relevant
just so
real
open.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best team in the AFC right now is the Chiefs. Quote, I mean, statistically, they're the best team in the AFC, and even they have big question marks because who's their receiver besides Kelsey?
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
have some serious
the
problems there.
AFC, the AFC usually some dogs, whole lot of injuries this year.
Yeah, Patty Mahomes would probably give some money back off his contract if they could literally just, insert and plant either Nico Collins or Tank Dell right now onto that Chiefs team. But let's
Or he would have
digress.
taken the money. He would have taken the money off his contract and said, "Keep Tyreek Hill here."
Yeah, for real. But yeah, he did come out and say that. You're right. But let's digress here away from that Cardinals Texans game. Should be an electric game. Where neither of us are taking that line. Just enjoy it for what it is, everyone. It should be amazing. Next game here is to start the 3:00 window set of games. We got Tampa Bay Bucks at the San Fran 49ers. San Fran is favored by 12 points. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think that's a little too big. I like some of the things the Buccaneers have been able to do offensively, and I do think that what they can do offensively, Tampa Bay that is, kind of meshes well with the weakness that is the San Fran defense. They have a great line, kind of like we were talking about earlier. They have a great rush. They can stop the run. Their corners are trash, and they are going to be literally dependent on that rush getting there. And while it's a good D line, it's a great unit. Great. I say great. Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Fred Warner, great unit. Dude, that Tampa O line is still pretty solid, man. I think if they can give Baker time, Tampa's going to keep this uncomfortably close for San Francisco. I'm not taking this line. I think San Fran wins, but not by 12, not by 13 points.
I think I said the same thing. I'm not taking it, but can you confirm that?
Yeah, you are not taking this as well. You have a note here about Baker and Mike Evans having a nice connection, and I would agree with that. That's the first thing I thought about was Baker chucking that thing deep to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And, something to keep a note here. Mike Evans is a little dinged up. Watch the injury reports.
If there's anything that Baker can do, he can chuck a ball. They're going to keep the game close.
Baker's thumb is good to go, too, by the way.
This game is I guess we really didn't cover a lot of injuries on games.
Yeah, that's because I think the notable injuries are pretty much dominating any other injury news.
Yeah.
We'll get to that on our episode on Sunday after the games play out, because I'm sure there will be more injuries, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this game. I think that San Fran wins, but Baker keeps it close with his arm.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, next game here, we got the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills, and my, oh my, this game is massive, massive. Buffalo is favored by 7 points, and I hate that line. I am staying so far away from this. I'm taking the Jets plus the points. I think this is going to be a very intense game. I don't know if it's going to be electric, like high scoring, but it's going to feel like a playoff game. There's only been a couple of games all year that have felt like a playoff game to me, and this is going to be one of them. The Jets, for the Jets and the Bills, this is literally their season effectively, but I think more so for the Jets than the Bills, because the Bills don't have, their star quarterback gone for the year. Josh Allen is there. Okay. Like if you got your guy, you got your elite quarterback, you always got a shot. If the Jets waver and falter and like pretty much if they lose like 2 more games, I think it's fucking over, and Aaron's not going to come back at all, because he is dangerously close to coming back. And they are, I just see the Jets playing their tails off. I honestly think the Jets are going to win this game. And if Buffalo does win, it's not going to be by over 7 points, in my opinion. It's going to be real tight.
I don't agree with you. You've been taking the Jets, and I've won those bets when you've taken the Jets, because the Jets are going to lose this game by over 7 points. True.
And I think maybe a couple of the other wins they have on their record, but let's digress.
No, I think last week, I think we maybe each have one that we disagreed with. And last week I won one, and then you got the Philly one. But the Jets are not going to win this game. It's in Buffalo. Buffalo's going to come back. Josh Allen's going to, I don't know why I always think that. Allen's going to come back. He's going to move his legs more. He's going to open up that game and play like he should be. I don't agree with the firing off of the offensive coordinator, but they're gonna scrap out this game. They're going to beat the Jets by over 7 points. So I remember I had one note that I wrote down in here. It was Michael Lombardi on the McAfee show, and I thought this point was really interesting. Him saying the Jets don't have it. They don't have an offensive identity. All they do is call plays. They don't have an identity. They see a defense out there. Okay, they're in this coverage, this coverage. We have a play for that. This coverage, this coverage. We have a play for that. They don't have an identity. Like we do this really well,
Yeah, I
and
would
like
agree
that.
with that.
And then when he said that, I'm like, holy crap! Like that's makes so much sense. They don't like you don't know what they are every given week. Like
Yeah, they
they
don't
don't
have anything
establish.
that they do like exceptionally well. I would agree with that.
And the OC took he was the scapegoat of the head coach to get canned. The head coach needs to be accepting the identity and creating the identity. It's like Mike Tomlin says, we're going to be a run team and we got a defense. That's it. We suck at throwing the ball. Like
That's the thing is Buffalo has an elite quarterback though. Like they should be able to do whatever they want, and they
they,
can do whatever
they
they want. However, they're just not very good at anything in particular. They're just kind of
exactly
okay at everything.
they need to establish. Okay, I mean, really, fucking like use your quarterback, use his legs, man. That's when he's good. Open
I'm
it
so
up.
torn on that, man. It's tough. Like I do want to see Josh Allen and like use his legs more, and I kind of feel the same way. Like let the dude be great. That's what makes him great. But in the same token, it's like, dude, why don't if you could just call a bit more of a sophisticated offensive game plan here, Josh Allen wouldn't have to take all these
He,
unnecessary hits. Then when he does scramble, then when you do call design runs, they're worth so much more. He's getting so much more yardage, and it's impacting the game more.
that that team is lost, and once again, it comes back to what I was saying. They don't have an identity. Like it is they they're in a very. I think they're the oldest team in football right now, and it's not looking good for them.
Yeah, I
And
don't
they
know,
had
man.
such. It felt like such a short window of them being great, and they're running out of time.
Yeah, everybody's getting real old real fast. I just personally think that the Jets have so much more on the line right now. Like Robert Saleh has his job on the line right now. They are clamoring for his head in New York. I know
They're
that
not making the playoffs.
I
They're done.
dude, if Aaron comes back, you know what? How do I say this? I'm a believer. I know you're
I
not.
want what you want. I want what you want, dude. I want the Jets. I
I
don't even
think
care
it's
if the
gonna
Steelers
happen.
if they I don't even care if they beat the Steelers. I love Aaron Rodgers that much that I would be elated to see Rodgers beat the Steelers in a playoff game.
Yeah.
I am with you in that. I am totally with you in that. But I don't think that the Jets are going to be in a position to have Rodgers come back and have that happen, unfortunately.
I
I
think if
don't
they can
think
beat
that
the Bills here, they will be, and they know it.
even if they beat the Bills, it's still in question. But hey, I'm rooting for what you're hoping happens, dude. I
I'm
hope
not
I'm
just
wrong.
hoping for it. I honestly think it will. If the Jets can beat the Bills here, like shit's gonna start rolling for them. I don't like because they beat them once. They seem to be Buffalo's kryptonite, specifically Josh Allen's kryptonite, and like
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers' return is on the line. Let's see here. Robert Saleh's job is on the line. I mean, there's just so many things that on the line for the Jets. I guess I see much more urgency from them, and like it was
I
like
mean,
for we just agreed for like minutes on end here how it was a scapegoat firing of the offensive coordinator. Okay, well, what good is that going to do? Sure, Sean McDermott wants to come out and say, "Oh, I want everybody to know that something's changed." Yeah, what? Your offense just got worse? The only dude who's been, the only continuity you've had is your OC for the last 2 seasons now. You think some new guy's just going to come in here and instantly light it up? I don't know, man. I don't see how it gets better or like significantly better. I don't know if it gets significantly worse, but I don't see how they make that leap, especially against the defense that pretty much owns them like the last 4 6 meetings they've had.
yeah, it'll be an interesting game. That'll be a
Yeah.
fun one to watch,
Well,
dude.
it's very yeah. That's a very polarizing game, and like the Jets are just a
It's
polarizing
pull.
team right now.
And it's just, I mean, not even the fact that it's polarizing for emotions. Like these two teams both need to win bad if they want to
Yeah,
do anything in the playoffs.
I
All
agree.
right, what do we
Yeah.
got next?
Yeah, next game here. Seahawks at the Rams. Seattle is favored by 1 point, and I'm taking that, man. The Rams beat them once already earlier in the year, and I don't think they're beating Seattle twice. Seattle seems to be clicking a little bit better now. And let's be real, any game played in SoFi, it's not really a home game. It's not a home game for the Rams or the Chargers. It's pretty much if it might be if the other team's fan base isn't, rabidly large like Green Bay or the Lions or somebody hungry, you know what I
Pittsburgh,
mean?
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, like
Yeah, there
I
we
mean,
go.
I
All right.
guarantee you right now, if Houston had to go to SoFi and play the Rams, that place would be packed full of Texans fans more than Rams fans. It's just kind of
Yeah,
how SoFi is.
I don't agree. I think Matthew Stafford, Puka Nakua, and Cooper Cup. It's Matthew Stafford, man. That guy is a dog,
He's a
dude.
dog. He's way better
He,
than Geno. Way better than Geno.
I
Dude's a
don't
borderline
trust
hofer.
this season. I don't trust Gino. I don't trust him,
Yeah.
like at all. I
Looks
think
like the
that
tape is
Matthew
out on him.
Stafford. I mean, they won a Super Bowl off of Cooper Cup. Okay, they're gonna beat up on these Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are one of the fakest 6-3 teams in the NFL. I've said it weeks before. I'm sick of them. They piss me off. But
I don't
like
think they're all that great either. I don't think they're a 6-3 team. I think they're a little more like a 5-4 team in
500,
disguise.
yeah,
But I still don't think that they're all that bad. That Seahawks defense is good, man. Like I'm not gonna say it's great, but it's good. It's finally
yeah,
shown me a little bit that it's pretty solid. Like, dude, if you can get pressure to Stafford, we've seen that's the easiest way to beat this team. If you can just stop the run, which Seattle's pretty good at, and you can get pressure to Stafford specifically up the middle, like it's over. I think it should be a really good game, honestly. I think it should be good, but like we were talking about earlier, Cardinals and Texans would have been way better in that slot.
yeah. Putting them on that 3 o'clock slate or something.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, let's
I'm
move
I'm
on to
with you.
our last game here for predictions because we love to save the Monday night predictions for the Sunday night episode. But let's get into the Sunday night game here. Vikings at Broncos, and Denver is favored by 2.5 points. This should be a wild game. What are you thinking?
Um, I'm thinking I can turn some lights on because I just arrived at my destination.
Well, that's very helpful. So we'll let you go ahead and get set up here with your technical difficulties, and I'll go ahead
This is
and
my face now.
hey, look at that! You're alive. You exist. But yeah, I think Denver is going to win this game personally, and I think they're going to cover that spread. I think the Josh Dobbs magic kind of runs out with this underrated Denver defense. Russell Wilson looks back. Like I'm not going to say he looks like vintage Russ, but he doesn't look washed anymore. Sean Payton has done predominantly what he was brought there to do, and that is fix Russell Wilson. So it looks like that contract that they signed him and all that draft capital they gave up to get him, it looks like they still didn't get the best end of the deal, but it doesn't look like it was a waste, or it doesn't look like, they're stuck with this guy who can't play quarterback. Like Russ at least looks
Yeah,
really solid now.
yeah. So I'm very happy that you have that viewpoint because I really got sick of you saying that. The trap game and the Broncos kind of stink. It was last week. You were just. I felt
Well, I'm
like you
saying
really
they were
didn't
like,
believe in the
in
Broncos.
in comparison to the Bills. That is like the Bills are viewed as
Yeah,
this like elite team. That was my main point.
but
Broncos definitely better than the
I'm
Vikings, but if the Vikings had Kirko, I'd be taking the Vikings here. Just the sidebar.
yeah. Both teams are carrying a crazy amount of momentum going into this game.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Like what was it? It was the Vikings are on at least a 5-game win streak right now, and the Broncos are coming off of a Bills and Chiefs victory, which is what I mean. That's equivalent to freaking 6-game win streaks. I
Yeah,
mean that's a huge. That's massive, man.
pretty
Uh,
much.
I'm with you. I'm taking this line. I think Denver is their defense, man. We're both. I mean, when you have a good defense, it's hard not to bet against them. And then Russell Wilson on the other side of the thing, like Russell Wilson, he's probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like
I'd say borderline. Yeah, if he can,
he's questionable.
if he can, revive his career a little more here in the later half of
Yeah,
his
man.
career and kind of get the numbers back and whatnot, I'd say he's got a really good case considering it's like he went to 2 Super Bowls. 1-1. He pretty much changed the game to a degree. Like, dude, he's the reason Kyler Murray got a shot.
What is he, 5'8"? I mean, 5'9"?
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. Like, he kind of changed the game. He's
that's
one of the, like,
crazy.
he did for the quarterback position what Darren Sproles did for the running back position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tiny guys can do it.
Exactly.
So, like,
far and few between, but hey, it's possible. You gotta give him a
Bryce
chance.
Bryce Young can't, but
Russell Wilson's the exact reason why Bryce Young is a Carolina Panther.
Was number one overall.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said at the earlier in this episode, this game 2 weeks ago wouldn't have been thought of as a really great Sunday night football game to watch, and I'm excited to watch it now because of what's transpired with the Vikings losing Kirk but getting Dobbs, and the Broncos defense really stepping it up, and Russell Wilson balling out. So it should be a really fun game to watch. But yeah, I think Denver wins this at Mile High, and they keep the Vikings have won too many games in a row. They got to lose one.
Agreed. It's some sort of like universal law in football. Like, when you're winning games, like, you're not supposed to all the time. Like, at some point, it's coming to an end. It's not happening.
Timeout.
Exactly.
But,
I think that's going to wrap it up then for the slate of games and our recap/preview here. And once again, sorry that it took, for everybody that it took us a little longer to get some episodes up, but hey, we're doing what we can with the time we got. So be sure
and
to
I was
if you don't mind, subscribe to the podcast. That'd be greatly appreciated, and throw those notifications on so that way you don't miss an episode.
Yeah, Sunday I will be at home. You'll be able to see my face and not be blacked out the entire episode, but I was doing my best. I'm glad we got the chat, buddy.
Yes.
And yeah, man, hoping to get a deer here tomorrow morning so I don't have to go hunting anymore till next week.
Yeah, good luck, man. I know it's opening gun deer season here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So this weekend.
Yeah.
So
I got to wake up at 4 a.m. Not looking forward to it. It's actually, it's not super cool, but I'm here. So
good luck,
all right,
buddy,
man.
And I hope you get what you came for up there, and we will see everybody on the next episode on Sunday.